What a name. Tom O'Bedlam. Oh, Bedlam. If tomorrow starts without me.
If Tomorrow Starts Without Me, by David Romano. Possibly. When tomorrow starts without me, and I'm not there to see, if the sun should rise and find your eyes all filled with tears for me, I wish so much you wouldn't cry the way you did today, while thinking of the many things we didn't get to say. I know how much you love me, as much as I love you, and each time that you think of me, I know you'll miss me too. But when tomorrow starts without me, please try to understand that an angel came and called my name and took me by the hand and said my place was ready in heaven far above, and that I'd have to leave behind all those I dearly love. But as I turned to walk away, a tear fell from my eye. For all my life I'd always thought I didn't want to die. I had so much to live for, so much left yet to do. It seemed almost impossible that I was leaving you. I thought of all the yesterdays, the good ones and the bad. I thought of all the love we shared and all the fun we had. If I could relive yesterday, just even for a while, I'd say goodbye and kiss you, and maybe see you smile. But then I fully realized that this could never be, for emptiness and memories would take the place of me. And when I thought of worldly things I might miss come tomorrow, I thought of you, and when I did, my heart was filled with sorrow. But when I walked through heaven's gates, I felt so much at home. When God looked down and smiled at me from his great golden throne, he said, "This is eternity, and all I've promised you. Today, your life on earth is past, but here, life starts anew. I promise no tomorrow, but today will all was lost, and since each day is the same, there's no longing for the past. You have been so faithful, so trusting, and so true, though there were times you did some things you knew you shouldn't do. But you have been forgiven, and now at last, you're free. So won't you come and take my hand, and share my life with me? So when tomorrow starts without me, don't think we're far apart. For every time you think of me, I'm right here in your heart."
Okay, so I'm halfway through cleaning the kitchen. Doing one load of dishes. Then I'll unpack and pack this lot in. In the meantime, I'll sweep the floor. And I wipe down the glass and the cupboards. It's amazing how much grease builds up over a very short period of time. So it took me half an hour to sweep the floor and wipe down the cupboards. Now I'll unpack the dishwasher. Okay, dishwasher empty. Second load in. Time to clean the sink. Sink is clean. Now, time to clean behind the sink and up this end. Oh, what a mess. Okay, behind the sink is clean. I've cleared off and cleaned down this end. And I think I want to keep it clear. Okay, now time for a cup of tea. Tea time. 14-minute smoko. Okay, now smoko is over. And it's time to clean the smoking counter. And the top of the stove top. You know, as I clean down the smoking table, I can't help but think of my mother, who didn't smoke, didn't drink, and yet died in a state of asphyxiation, gasping for air, holding the hand of a masked foreign stranger. I know that Mum would still be alive if I was caring for her, because I kept all of those parts of her brain, all those, you know, little highways and byways in her brain, stimulated and moving. I kept her walking, I kept her singing, I kept her talking, I kept her dancing. From the minute she got there, they sat her in a chair and wouldn't even put her down for afternoon naps because they wanted her to sleep all night so the staff wouldn't be disturbed. That's what I think of. And behind is the shrine to Mother Mary and Mother Gwen. My mother, Mum loved the kitchen. The kitchen was her office. Look, these 2 pepper pots. One from Mum and Dad, and the other belonged to my grandparents. Mum's secret garden. There we are. Nice and tidy. Now the stovetop. Oh, okay. Now the stovetop is sparkly. Took me 2.5 hours just to clean that little bit of kitchen. I think the reason why it takes so long is because I'm so attached to everything. And I'm attached because of the way that my parents got wrenched out of their home, and my mother just got everything taken away from her. I mean, Dad as well, but Dad wasn't really, you know, attached, you know, to, oh look, maybe he was. My father was a quiet man. He didn't show much. But Mum did, and I certainly know that she was, you know, very attached to her things, because her things brought up memories, right? And out of the memories she could tell stories, you know. And the more practice she got in telling, you know, in speaking, you know, the better storyteller she became. Except I was the only one who understood her. Everyone was just conveniently treating her like a mad old woman. So in short, you know, if this was someone else's kitchen, I probably would have had it done within the hour. But almost every object to me is loaded, like loaded with a memory. You know, like making toasted sandwiches for breakfast or brunch, you know. Like slow cooked dinners, you know, that just put in the slow cooker all afternoon and talk and laugh and, you know, smell the aroma. Oh, so many memories in a kitchen for me. And all about Mum. She'd be happy it was clean. But the job's still not over. Now there's this side of the room to deal with. And first I've got to clear the papers. Papers are hard for me. And then I've got to hang the mirror. And then I've got to sweep and mop the floor and move the table. But first, before it gets too late, I've got to go out and do the shopping. I don't feel like going out. I don't feel like being seen at all. But I need to do some shopping and I need to buy some dinner. And I need a break from the paperwork. It's so full of triggers. Okay, so went down to Aldi on the scooter. Got my grocery haul. That should last me a few days. Got my mandarins, my banana. Got my sweet potato, and onions. Got my white onion, purple onion, and cucumber. You know, cucumbers clean the blood. Cucumber and celery cleans the blood. The Chinaman told me that. And they know some shit. Okay, dinner time. Chop the cucumber. Potatoes on the boil. Aldi melt in the middle prawn fish cakes. I'm going to put in the oven. Oven warming up now. Salad leaf mix from Aldi. Chop up. Okay, chopped up. Mix up. Pop in some avocado, which is on special now. About $1.20 per avocado. Bargain. Put prawn cake in the oven. I feel like I only need one. Cut lemon. Sprinkle lemon on avocado and salad. And then salt and pepper. Remove into separate bowl where you mix in the mayonnaise. A tablespoon of mayonnaise mixed in. And this will go beautifully with the prawn cake and the potato. Still boiling along. Dinner time. While we're watching Carol Burnett's
much of her anger
biography.
centered around the fact that her own Hollywood dreams went unfulfilled.
Okay. I finished that meal. It was absolutely delicious, if I say so myself. And the little mini bio on Carol Burnett was interesting too. Like, I was such a fan of Carol Burnett, right? When I was a kid, I loved her. And now I realise she was the apprentice of Lucille Ball, who I also loved so much. And apparently Carol Burnett's child, spoke bad about her. Okay. Like, we talk about, like, child abuse, what parents do to children, but what about what children do to parents? Ungrateful little fucking munted runts. I mean, anyway. Anyway, I'm thinking about this, because I spent 3 years trying to release my mother from being a ward of the state, where 3 of my siblings basically sold my mother off after she dedicated her life to us. What the tribunal decided, the tribunal appointed the public guardian as Mrs. Kenny's guardian for a period of 12 months. Well, it's not 12 months, it's forever. Once they get hold of your parents, it's forever, right? To make decisions on her behalf, she only had to go and see my mother once a year. She put my brother in charge, who couldn't look after her. He could keep a cactus alive. And he only had the power of attorney because he wrenched it out of my father's hands after working with a lot of other parties, including Dr. Hislop, Catholic Healthcare. Oh, God, I've been through all of this before. I must have written at least 100,000 words in support of my mother, to have her released, to have her brought home, right? Instead, she gets put into the hands of Sylvia Heidenreich. Sylvia Fourth Reich, I call her, right? Like, the woman is just, she couldn't look after a cactus either. Maybe that's why she was so fond of my brother and sister, right? 12 months, yeah, her whole, 3 years later, tick, 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 tick. While I kept going back to NCAT tribunals, did 9 months of directives hearings in the Supreme Court of New South Wales before having it thrown out by Chief Justice Ward. Anyhow, dental treatment. She gave her no dental treatment, okay? I've just got so much... I sent a friend in and Mum had no teeth. And so I reported that to Sylvia Heidenreich, and it took another 2 months to get my mother teeth. My mother had private health care, heaps of money. When I was looking after her, she could have had her teeth fixed within 2 weeks, right? Not 3 months. And access to others. So Sylvia Heidenreich is stopping me, the carer, the 2-year carer of my mother, the daughter, the biological daughter of my mother, right? Because she's siding with my sister, who's really on the side of her husband, Joseph Pugliese, who tore our family apart slowly, like Zuzette's son, after shotgun marrying into it. And my adopted brother, Paul Kennedy, right? And they used my brother Paul Kennedy as the bouncer. 2, the tribunal adjourned the application for financial management order for a date to be fixed by the registrar. So I was saying, Mum needs comfort money, Mum needs this, Mum needs that. Mum went without that. Mum went without, basic comforts. Hairdressing, makeup, styling, massage, facials, all the things I gave her, and aromatherapy, Bible, prayers, singing, dancing, everything. My mother was a prisoner. She was a prisoner of extraordinary rendition in somewhere called the Holy Spirit Croydon, run by Catholic Healthcare, okay? And then the public guardian linked arms, legal arms with Catholic Healthcare and made sure my mother stayed locked in there, right? Miss Gwen Kennedy is an 85-year-old woman with Alzheimer's type dementia She died at 88, and other conditions including osteoarthritis and glaucoma. At the time of the application, she was a resident of the Holy Spirit Croydon, and she previously resided at Brighton Lodge Retirement Village with her husband, Mr. John Kennedy, being looked after by her daughter, which I have endless videos as evidence, Wednesday Kennedy. But I was made a ghost of the civil dead. This is why it's so hard to read this paperwork. Reread it again, knowing what happened. They murdered my parents and they tortured my mother to death for 3 years. Don't you find that interesting? Publication or broadcasting of an official report of the proceedings, and yet I cannot have any right of reply on YouTube of this official report of the proceedings. When I did have my right of reply on YouTube, 200 of my videos were deleted either by my siblings, Catholic Healthcare, Maria Hammond, or Office of the Public Trustee and Guardian, Sylvia Heidenreich, and I was threatened with the Crown Solicitors or the Solicitors of Catholic Healthcare on reporting of my mother's abuse. But they're allowed to publicise and broadcast. What's wrong with this picture? And what is NCAT? What is NCAT? Australian Super Tribunals. Similarities and... Australian Super Tribunals, Similarities and Differences. Justice John Chaney, President, State Administrative Tribunal. Best practice in tribunals, a model for South Australia. Oh, South Australia, it's like the serial killer capital of the bloody world. Anyway, this is what Justice Chaney thinks. I declare at the outset, therefore, that I am an advocate for super tribunals. I am persuaded, at least in my own state, the tribunal has greatly improved public accessibility to the various areas of merits review or original jurisdiction that existed under previous decision-makings. Well, I don't know what came before it, but, this tribunal is trafficking elders, making them wards of the state, asset stripping them and having them tortured to death, and also aligning with abusive children. Mr. Chaney. Here's the link. Or is it from WA? Oh la la. I mean, WA is just like, it's like the asshole of the world. I mean, thank God I wasn't born in WA. It could be worse. Having said, it could be worse. I could be dead myself, It's only my mother, only my mother, who suffered under this super tribunal, who has a pact with the public trustee and guardian. Not with the family. They're not into families. It's a business model, and the model works for forced incarceration, either in nursing homes or hospitals, or somewhere outside the home, somewhere away from the family. Oh, I'm sorry. I had a cut-off switch last night when I was reading this, and this is the problem that I have when reading documents, is that it's so unbelievable. It's so unbelievable what my siblings have done, and then Catholic Healthcare have climbed on the back of, so they could make a $1.4 million bond on my parents, plus their living expenses, when they were living in their home being cared for free by me, right? And, you know, my brother took over the money after my parents were basically chucked out of their home and into the nursing home, right? Ever since Mum and Dad moved into Holy Spirit Nursing Home, I've been consolidating their finances. You've been bleeding their finances, right, for probably the last 20 years, right? I did this under the direction of my father, who is now incapable of making any decisions because you traumatised him for years on end, and I have the proof. What has been particularly time-consuming is determining exactly what constituted their shares portfolio. Yeah, because you're a fucking dumbass, man. Mum looked after the money. Mum looked after the money. You couldn't even look after yourself. You've never had a girlfriend, Paul Kennedy. You've never had a girlfriend because women just couldn't put up with you, right? You're too much of an abuser and you're hopeless and you couldn't keep anyone alive, including a bloody cactus. I submitted the paperwork for a one-off trade with ComSec and they returned my paperwork and also sent me an email explaining more hoops I need to jump through, which I'll paste at the bottom of this. Oh, you actually had to work for your money, Brother Paul. Here's my urgent, what is it, revocation of public guardian. Wednesday Kennedy, daughter, 2.5-year carer, 25. Oh, I don't care. Come and get me, I'll fucking stab you at the door. I've spent 8 months in the Supreme Court. See document 1. Who is the person under guardianship? Gwen Olive Kennedy. Holy Spirit Court and Catholic Healthcare. Cared for by foreign strangers. Really, honestly, my mother was a prisoner of war. But who made her a prisoner of war? My siblings. Paul's not in this photo. This is just the Twisted Sisters. These are the women, and I use that term so loosely, who conspired because they didn't like my mother's first will to have her put into a nursing home, right? And then Jean was real close with Patrick Tudhope because she's an ABC journalist, right? So she had a lot of behind-the-scenes contacts there. This is the psych nurse who basically turned up in New York when I was there. Like, I linked her up with people, like gave her accommodation. She trashed all that at the end, didn't even pay Bjork, Lily and Jean-Pierre's rent. Trish told me that. Is that true, Mary? They're the twins, Trish and Mary. Hairy, scary. Hairy, scary. Okay, we won't read them yet. We'll just, in full. It's too traumatising. We'll just put them into a folder. I just want you to know that this is the basis of trauma-based mind control, that what you throw at people is so shocking. It's such a lie. And you just can't believe what they're saying. You can't believe they've kidnapped your parents. You can't believe what is going down. And it's perfectly legal. It's set up. It's rigged. It's a total rorsch.